रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते ताप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधु भैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशकारिणे नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। Hare Krishna. So we'll continue our study from the first canto, first verse of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Very important. I will speak about it tomorrow morning. I was reading the commentary of Srila Sridhar Swami. He is the greatest authority in commenting of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So the 10th canto is the Ashraya Vigraha of the Supreme Lord. And that is the 10th subject matter of Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam has 10 subject matters. As we see, Krishna speaks 5 subject matters in Bhagavad Gita, but Bhagavatam has 10 subject matters. And the final subject matter is the Ashraya Tattva. And everyone else is Ashraya. Everyone accepts the shelter of the Supreme Lord. And here what we see in this episode, what we discussed yesterday. Who would like to share what we got inspiration or instruction from what we discussed yesterday? It should not be only passive hearing. There should be, after hearing, there should be some contemplation and some application also. Most important is, Prabhupada says that philosophy is not for armchair speculation, but for, anyone remembers the statement? Prabhupada says in the Bhagavad Gita, philosophy is not for armchair speculation, but for, it is in the 8th chapter, 28th verse. No one remembers. For formation of character. Okay, quickly, from yesterday's discussion, what you remember? I don't see people now even sending notes. You don't have many Janmāṣṭamī services. Are you doing some Janmāṣṭamī services? Where are you busy? Quickly, from yesterday's recap. What do you remember from yesterday's discussion?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
A realized soul never disturbed by the difficulties come in his life. And here the glorification of the qualities of Vasudeva are described in all these verses.
Yes.
Vasudeva and Devaki both are free from Ragavad base of Bhaya. And Vasudeva was so precisely and elaborately explained to Canto about this soul Then
Yes.
Kṛṣṇa was also
Convinced.
convinced.
Yes, Kamsa changed his plans, his thoughts. Very difficult to preach to a demoniac person. But Vasudev, with his purity and with his tactfulness, he changed the thinking process, the thought process of Kamsa. Very good.
Yes.
Yes, Sonika? What inspired you yesterday?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, you explained yesterday that Vasudev ji was told earlier that his eighth child will be killing Kṛṣṇa, and after birth of each child, they were immediately killed. But still, he was so determined. Both parents were so determined that they were continuing giving birth. So they were just not deviated from anything, like by the birth of that infant, but still they were just completing their duty, because Lord Krishna was had to appear with even after facing so much pain.
Yeah. So they did not consider their own tribulation or distress. Why? Because they wanted to serve the Supreme Lord. So to be able to serve the Supreme Lord, they accepted such heavy distress. They had to undergo such terrible pain. And they willingly and voluntarily accepted. Yes, Ganesh?
Prabhuji, one of the verses yesterday we discussed that Vasudev adopted that diplomacy to serve Krishna and Krishna's interest.
Yes. Vasudev used diplomacy. Why? Because he was against a demon. Diplomacy should not be used with devotees. Diplomacy is only for those who are non-devotees. Okay, very good.
Prabhuji, one more thing, that everything was predetermined, but we should be put our effort to achieve it.
Yeah, we should put our sincere endeavor. We should not be lacking in our effort, in our endeavor. Yes, very good. Pranav?
Vasudev, being a pure devotee of the Lord, he has all the good qualities of Devata, all the demigods. You said
Not
Yashasti
demigod,
Bhakti,
all the divine qualities.
all the divine qualities.
Yeah, the pure devotees' qualities are much more than what the demigod. The demigod do not have that quality. Where is demigod, you see? The demigods are going and praying to the Lord, why? Please save us, please rescue us. Every time Indra, Chandra, everyone is having problems, they are going and approaching the Lord. Why? Just to get their difficulty removed. Vasudeva and Devaki did not pray to Krishna that please save our first 7 child. To give birth to you, why we have to sacrifice 7 childs? You are the Supreme Lord. You are the master of everyone. So why you cannot save our 7 child? Did they ever complain or pray like that? Their qualities are all divine. Transcendental qualities. That verse is there, that if you have a proper understanding of the verse, that says all the divine qualities comes. Yasyasti bhakti bhagavati rakinchana. One who is performing pure devotional service, he naturally exhibits or manifests the transcendental qualities. That quality is not because of one's karma or guna. That quality is because of bhakti. Yasyasti bhakti. And what kind of bhakti? Akinchan bhakti. That is free from all selfish motivations. Okay, we'll move forward. We discussed till 60th verse yesterday. Or 61st. We'll take the 60th or 61st.
59 verse we completed.
So we'll take the 60th verse. Okay. '59. Okay, I'll just repeat the 59. My dear King Parikshit, when Kamsa saw that Vasudeva being situated in truthfulness was completely equipoised in giving him the child, he was very happy. Therefore, with a smiling face, he spoke as follows. Today's verse. Pratiyatu kumaroyam nahi asmadasti me bhayam astamad yuvayor garbhan mrityur me vihita kila. O Vasudev, you may take back your child and go home. I have no fear of your first child. It is the 8th child of you and Devaki I am concerned with, because that is the child by whom I am destined to be killed. Tatheti sutam adaya yayavo anakadundubhi nabhyanandata tadvakyam asato avijita mana. Vasudeva agreed and took his child back home. But because Kemsa had no character and no self-control, Vasudeva knew that he could not rely on Kamsa's word. Nanda daya ye braja gopa yes chamisham cha yoshita Vrishnayo Vasudeva Dyo Devaki Adya Yadostriya Sarveva Devata Praya Ubhayor Abhibharata Gnatyo Bandhu Surdo Yecha Kamsam Anuvrata. The inhabitants of Vrindavan, headed by Nand Maharaj and including his associates, cowherdsmen and their wives, were none but denizens of the heavenly planets. O Maharaj Parikshit, best of the descendants of Bharata. And so too were the descendants of the Vrishni dynasty, headed by Vasudeva and Devaki, another woman of the dynasty of Yadu. The friends, relatives, and well-wishers of both Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva, and even those who externally appear to be followers of Kamsa, were all demigods. We have seen that Lord Brahma gave that instruction to all the demigods. And who came? Which of the demigods descended to participate in the pastime? Who remembers? Which of the chosen demigods were allowed to come to participate in the pastime? Yes, Sonika?
They trained because there's some of the devotional qualities has been remained. So they came.
Yes. Those devotees whose devotional qualities was not perfected. So what was the statement given? Don't remember? You should remember. A very important statement. Srila Prabhupada mentioned that. Why they had to come?
Prabhuji, for getting trained.
Yes, and to perfect. So getting trained and getting perfected. Okay. As previously discussed, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu informed Lord Brahma that Lord Kṛṣṇa would personally descend to mitigate the suffering of the earth. The Lord ordered all the denizens of the heavenly planets to take birth in different families of the Yadu and Vrishni dynasties and in Vrindavan. Now this verse informs us that all the family and friends of the Yadu dynasty, the Vrishni dynasty, Nanda Maharaj and the Gopa descended from the heavenly planets to see the pastimes of the Lord. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 4.8, the Lord's pastime consists of Paritranaya Sadhunam, Vinashaya Drishkitam. Saving the devotee and killing the demons to demonstrate these activities, the Lord called for the devotees from different parts of the universe. There are many devotees who are elevated to the higher planetary system. Prapya punya kritan lokan ushitva shashvati sama suchinam shrimatam gehe yoga brashta vijayate. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. Bhagavad Gita 6.41. Some devotees, having failed to complete the process of devotional service, are promoted to the heavenly planets to which the pious are elevated. And after enjoying there, they may be directly promoted to the place where the Lord's pastimes are going on. When Lord Kṛṣṇa was to appear, the denizens of the heavenly planet were invited to see the pastimes of the Lord. And thus it is stated here that the members of the Yadu and Vishnu dynasties and the inhabitants of Vrindavan were demigods, or almost good as demigods. Even those who externally help the activities of Kamsa belong to the higher planetary systems. The imprisonment and release of Vasudeva and the killing of various demons were all manifestation of the pastimes of the Lord. And because the devotees would be pleased to see these activities personally, they were all invited to take birth as friends and relatives of these families, as confirmed in the prayers of Kunti Devi, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 1st Canto, 8th chapter, 19th verse. Nato natya dharo yatha. The Lord was to play the part of a demon killer and a friend, son and brother of his devotees, and thus these devotees were all summoned. Etat kamsaya Bhagavan. Etat kamsaya Bhagavan. Sasama abhiyetya narada bhumir bharya amananam daityanam cha vardha udyamam. So once a great saint, Narada approached Kamsa and informed him of how the demonic person who were a great burden on the earth were going to be killed. Thus Kamsa was put into great fear and doubt. So Kamsa was sitting pacified, waiting for the 8th child. But before the 8th child could appear, Narad Muni appears. And now what is the news that Narad Muni is bringing? Narad Muni is always carrying some transcendental news. That all the demonic persons who were great burden on the earth were going to be killed. So he did not directly say, Kamsa, that your time for your being killed has come. Thus Kamsa was placed into great fear and doubt. It has already been discussed that Mother Earth implored Lord Brahma to give her relief from the distress created by the burdensome demons. And that Lord Brahma informed her that Lord Kṛṣṇa himself was going to appear. Kṛṣṇa says in the Bhagavad Gita 4.8, Paritrāṇāya sadhunām vināṣāya ca duṣkritāṃ dharma samsthapanārthāya sambhavami yuge yuge. Whenever there is a burden created by the demons, and whenever the innocent devotees are disturbed by demonic rulers, the Lord appears in due course of time to kill the demons with the assistance of his real representative, who are technically called demigods. In the Upanishad, it is stated that the demigods are different parts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As it is the duty of the parts of the body to serve the whole, it is the duty of Kṛṣṇa's devotee to serve Kṛṣṇa as he wants. Kṛṣṇa's business is to kill the demons, and therefore, this should be the devotee's business also. Because the people of Kali Yuga are fallen, however, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of kindness for them, did not bring any weapon to kill them. Rather, by spreading Krishna consciousness, love of Krishna, he wanted to kill the nefarious demonic activities. This is the purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement. Unless the demonic activities on the surface of the world are diminished or vanquished, no one can be happy. The program for the conditioned soul is fully described in the Bhagavad Gita, and one has to simply follow these instructions to become happy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has therefore prescribed Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nameva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatirannatha. Let people chant the Hare Krishna mantra constantly. Then their demonic tendency will be killed and they will become first-class devotees, happy in this life and in the next. Rishi Vinargame Kamso Yadunmatva Suraniti Devakya Garva Sambhutam Vishnu Cha Swavardham Prati Devakim Vasudevam Cha Nigraya Nigadedvihe Jatam Jatam Aham Putram Jatam Jatam Aham Putram Tayorak Ajana Sankaya. After the departure of the great saint Narad, Kamsa thought that all the members of the Yadu dynasty were demigods and that any of the children born from the womb of Devaki might be Vishnu. Fearing his death, Kamsa arrested Vasudeva and Devaki and chained them with iron shackles. Suspecting each of the child to be Vishnu, Kamsa killed them one after another because of the prophecy that Vishnu would kill him. Srila Jiva Goswami on his notes on this work has mentioned how Narad Muni gave Kamsa this information. This incident is described in Hari Vamsha. Narad Muni went to see Kamsa by providence and Kamsa received him very well. Narad therefore informed him that any of the sons of Devaki might be Vishnu because Vishnu was to kill him. Kamsa should not spare any of Devaki's children. Narad Muni advised. Narada's intention was that Kamsa, by killing the children, would increase the sinful activities so that Kṛṣṇa would soon appear to kill him. Upon receiving the instructions of Narad Muni, Kamsa killed all the children of Devaki one after another. The word Ajan Sankaya indicates that Lord Vishnu never takes birth. Ajan. And he therefore appeared as Kṛṣṇa, taking birth just like a human being. Manushim Tanu Mashrita. Kamsa attempted to kill all the babies born of Devaki and Vasudeva, although he knew that if Vishnu were born, he would not be killed. Actually, it came to pass that when Vishnu appeared as Kṛṣṇa, Kamsa could not kill him. Rather, as foretold, it was he who killed Kamsa. One should know in truth how Kṛṣṇa, who takes his birth transcendentally, acts to kill the demons but is never killed. When one perfectly understands Kṛṣṇa in this way, through the medium of Shastra, one becomes immortal. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvata yaktva deham punarjanma neti mameti so Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, takes his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Mataram pitaram bhratran sarvamscha shruhidastatha nanantihi asutro lubdhva rajana prayaso bhuvi. Kings greedy for sense gratification on this earth almost always kill their enemies indiscriminately. To satisfy their own whims, they may kill anyone, even their mothers, fathers, brothers, or friends. We have seen in the history of India that Aurangzeb killed his brother and nephews and imprisoned his father to fulfill political ambition. There have been many similar instances, and Kamsa was the same type of king. Kamsa did not hesitate to kill his nephews and imprison his sister and his father. For demons to do such thing, it is not astonishing. Nonetheless, although Kamsa was a demon, he was aware that Lord Vishnu cannot be killed, and thus he attained salvation. Even partial understanding of the activities of Lord Vishnu makes one eligible for salvation. Kamsa knew a little about Kṛṣṇa, that he could not be killed, and therefore he attained salvation, although he thought of Vishnu. Kamsa as an enemy, what then is to be said of one who knows Krishna perfectly from the description of Shastras like the Bhagavad Gita? Prabhupada is saying one who knows perfectly the descriptions of Shastras like the Bhagavad Gita. It is therefore the duty of everyone to read the Bhagavad Gita and understand Krishna perfectly. This will make one's life successful. Atmanam iha sanjatam janan preg vishnuna satam mahasuram kalanemim yadubiva vyarudhyata. In his previous birth, Kamsa had been a great demon named Kalanemi and been killed by Vishnu. Upon hearing this information from Narad, Kamsa became envious of everyone connected with the Yadu dynasty. Persons who are demons, enemies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are called Asuras. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Asuras, because of their enmity toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead, take birth after birth in the Asuras family and therefore glide down to the darkest hellish region. What is the verse? What is the verse? We discussed that in the 16th chapter. For such people, what Krishna does? Anyone remembers the verse? No. Krishna says, I purposely cast them in most abominable species of life. Life after life. Very, very, very dangerous is this demonic mentality. Ugrasenam cha pitaran yadu bhoja andhakadhipam swayam nigraha bhubuje surasenam mahabala. Kamsa, the most powerful son of Ugrasen, even imprisoned his own father, the king of Yadu, Bhoja and the Andhaka dynasty, and personally ruled the states known as Surasen. The state known as Mathura was also included within the states known as Surasen. So Surasen, what we understand, is the name of the country or a province where the king Surasen would have ruled. And one of his territory is Mathura. Manini Mataji?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्ण। और कभी भी हम अपनी बुद्धि से ना इसको पकड़ नहीं पाएंगे। ये प्रयास वैसा ही है कि पंछी आकाश में उड़े और सोचे कि वो आकाश को नाप लेगा। वो कभी नहीं नाप सकता। नाप सकता है जितने उसके अंदर क्षमता है बस उतना ही उड़ पाएगा। हाँ, लेकिन आकाश की लिमिट क्या है वो कभी नहीं जान पाएगा। इसलिए भगवान कृष्ण को पूरी तरह संपूर्ण जानना संभव ही नहीं किसी को। लेकिन ये है कि शास्त्रों से पढ़ के अपना जानकारी बढ़ा सकते हैं, उत्सुकता बढ़ा सकते हैं, और जितनी हमारी भक्ति है उतना भगवान हमें रिवील करेंगे। So we'll start the second chapter. Okay, Prabhupada is also giving additional notes for this chapter. Okay. Regarding transmigration of the soul, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam gives the following notes. When one is awake, whatever one sees or hears is impressed upon the mind, which later works in dream and shows one different experience. Although in dream, one appears to accept a different body. For example, when one is awake, one does business and talks with the customers. And similarly, in dream, one meets various customers, talks about business and gives quotation. Madhvacharya says, therefore, that dreams takes place according to what one sees, hears, and remembers. When one reawakens, of course, one forgets the body of the dream. This forgetfulness is called apasmriti. Apasmriti. Smriti means to remember, and apasmriti means forgetfulness. Thus, we are changing bodies because we are sometimes dreaming, sometimes awake and sometimes forgetful. Forgetfulness of our previously created body is called death, and our actual work in the present body is called life. After death, one cannot remember the activities of one's previous body, whether imaginary or factual. The agitated mind is compared to agitated water reflecting the sun and moon. Actually, the sun and moon reflected on the water do not exist there. Of course, only it is a shadow. It is only a reflection. Where is the sun and moon? It is high above in the sky, not in the water. Nonetheless, they are reflected according to the movements of the water. Similarly, when our minds are agitated, we wander in different material atmospheres and receive different types of body. This is described in the Bhagavad Gita as Guna Sangha. Karanam Guna Sangasya. Madhvacharya says, Guna Anubadha San. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Brahmand Brahmite Kauna Bhagyavanji. The living entity rotates up and down throughout the universe. Sometimes in the upper planetary system, sometimes in the middle and lower planetary system. Sometimes as a man, sometimes as a god, a dog, a tree, and so on. This is all due to the agitation of the mind. The mind must therefore be steadily fixed. As it is said, Savai Mana Kṛṣṇa Pada Ravindayo. One should fix one's mind at the lotus feet of Kṛṣṇa. And then one will become free from agitation. This is the instruction of Garud Purāṇa and the Naradiya Purāṇa, and the same process is described as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan. The agitated mind goes to different planetary systems because it is attached to different kinds of demigods. But one does not go to the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by worshipping the demigods. For this is not supported by any Vedic literature. Man is the architect of his own fortune. In this human life, one has the facility with which to understand one's real situation. And one can decide whether to wander around the universe forever or return home, back to Godhead. This is also confirmed in Gita, Bhagavad Gita. Aprapimam nivartante mrityu sansar vatmani. It's a long note. We will skip this. We will go to the second chapter. A very long one. So now, prayers by the demigods for Lord Kṛṣṇa in the womb. The second chapter. As described in this chapter, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead entered the womb of Devaki to kill Kamsa, all the demigods understood that the Lord was living within Devaki's womb. Devaki's womb and therefore is veneration. Devaki's womb and therefore in veneration, they offered him the Garbhastuti prayers. Kamsa, under the protection of his father-in-law Jarasan, and with the help of demonic friends like Pralamba, Baka, Chanura, Trinavritta, Aghasura, Mushtrika, Bana, and Bhaumasura, began oppressing the members of the Yadu dynasty. Therefore, the members of the Yadu dynasty left their homes and sought shelters in such states as Kuru, Panchal, Kekai, Salva, and Vidhanva. Only some of them stayed with Kamsa as nominal friend. After Kamsa killed the Shadgarbha, the 6 sons of Devaki, one after another, Anantadev entered Devaki's womb and was transferred to the womb of Rohini by the manipulations of Yogamaya, who was following the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord himself, who was soon to appear as the 8th son of Devaki, ordered Yogamaya to take birth from the womb of Yashoda Devi. Because Kṛṣṇa and his potency Yogamaya appeared simultaneously as brother and sister, the world is full of the Vaishnavas and Shaktas, and there is certainly some rivalry between them. Vaishnavas worship the Supreme Lord, whereas Shaktas, according to their desire, worship Yogamaya in forms like Durga, Bhadrakali, and Chandika. Following the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yogamaya transferred Baldev Sankarshana, the 7th child of Devaki, from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. Because Sankarshana appears in order to increase love of Kṛṣṇa, he is known as Ram. One may take, because he appears in order to increase the love of Kṛṣṇa. So he gives pleasure to Kṛṣṇa. He increases the pleasure or love of Kṛṣṇa. So he is known as Ram. Ram means one who is the abode of all love and pleasure. One may take auspicious strength from him to become a devotee of the Lord, and therefore he is also known as Balabhadra. The three names. What are the names? Ram, Sankarshana, Balaram, and Balabhadra. After Yogamaya transferred the seventh child of Devaki to the womb of Rohini, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared within the heart of Vasudeva and transferred himself into the heart of Devaki because the Lord was present in her heart. Devaki, as her pregnancy continued, appeared effulgent. Upon seeing this effulgence, Kamsa was full of anxiety, but he could not harm Devaki because of their family relationship. Then he began indirectly thinking of Kṛṣṇa and he became fully Kṛṣṇa conscious. Meanwhile, because of the Lord's presence within the womb of Devaki, all the demigods came to offer the Lord their prayers. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, they said, is eternally the absolute truth. The spiritual soul is more important than the gross body and the super soul. Okay. More important, the spiritual soul is more important than the gross body and the super soul. Paramatma is still more important than the soul. The Supreme Godhead is absolutely independent and his incarnations are transcendental. The prayers of the demigods glorify and exalt devotee and explains the fate of the persons who superficially consider themselves liberated from the conditions of material nature. A devotee is always safe. When a devotee fully surrenders to the lotus feet of the Lord, he is completely liberated from the fear of material existence. By explaining why the Supreme Personality of Godhead descends, the prayers of the demigods clearly confirm the Lord's statement in Bhagavad Gita 4.7. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhiyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyam. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in the religious practice, O descendants of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So we are beginning the second chapter. Shri Shuka Uvacha Pralamba Baka Charura Trinavitra Mahashane Mushtika Arishta Dvividha Putana Keshi Dhenuke Anyascha Sura Bhula Bhupale Bana Bhama Dhiviryuta Yadunam Kadanam Chakre Valimagda Samashraya. Sukdev Goswami said, under the protection of Magadraj Jarasan, the powerful Kamsa began persecuting the kings of the Yadu dynasty. In this, he had the cooperation of demons like Pralamba, Baka, Chanura, Trinavritta, Aghasura, Mushtika, Arishta, Dvividha, Putana, Keshi, Dhenuka, Banasura, Narkasura, and many other demonic kings on the surface of the earth. This was support the following statement given by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita. So many times Prabhupada is presenting the same principle. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyam paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Whenever and wherever there is decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium. The Lord's purpose in maintaining this material world is to give everyone a chance to go back home, back to Godhead. But kings and political leaders unfortunately tried to hinder the purpose of the Lord, and therefore the Lord appears either personally or with his plenary portions to set things right, as therefore said, Garbham Sancharya Rohinyam Devakya Yogamayaya Tasya Kukshim Gata Kṛṣṇo Dvitiyo Vibudhe Suta. Kṛṣṇa appeared in the womb of Devaki after transferring Baldev to the womb of Rohini by the powers of Yogamaya. Yadubisa Vyarudhyata. The kings of the Yadu dynasty were all devotees. But there were many powerful demons such as Salva who began to persecute them. At that time, Jarasandha, who was Kamsa's father-in-law, was extremely powerful. And therefore, Kamsa took advantage of his protection and the help of other demons in persecuting the kings of the Yadu dynasty. The demons naturally appeared more powerful than the demigods, but ultimately, because of the help received from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demons were defeated and the demigods triumphed. Te pidita nivishvishu Puru Panchala Kekayan Salvan Vidarbhan Nishadhan Videham Kaushalam Api. Persecuted by demoniac kings, the Yadavas left their own kingdom and entered into various others, like those of the Kurus, Panchalas, Kekayas, Salvas, Vidarbhas, Nishadas, Videhas, and Kaushalas. Ekatam Anurundhana Gnataya Paryupasate Hateshu Satshu Baleshu Devakaya Anugrahasnina Saptamo Vaishnavam Dhama Yam Anantam Prachakshate Garbo Bhabuva Devakaya Harsashoka Vivardhana. Some of the relatives, however, began to follow Kamsa's principle and act in his service. After Kamsa, the son of Ugrasen, killed the first 6 sons of Devaki, a plenary portion of Kṛṣṇa entered her womb as the 7th child, arousing her pleasure and her lamentation. Harsha Shoka Vivardhana. Harsha is pleasure and Shoka is lamentation. That plenary portion is celebrated by great sages as Ananta, who belongs to Kṛṣṇa's second quadruple expansion. Some of the chief devotees, such as Akrura, stayed with Kamsa to satisfy him. This they did for various purposes. They all expected the Supreme Personality of Godhead to appear as the 8th child as soon as Devaki, the other children, were killed by Kamsa. And they were eagerly awaiting his appearance. By remaining in Kamsa's association, they would be able to see Supreme Personality of Godhead take birth and display his childhood pastimes. And Akrura would later go to Vrindavan to bring Kṛṣṇa and Balram to Mathura. The word Paryupasate is significant because it indicates that some devotees wanted to stay near Kamsa in order to see all these pastimes of the Lord. The 6 children killed by Kamsa had formerly been the son of Marichi, but because of having been cursed by the Brahmana, they were obliged to take birth as grandsons of Hiranyakashipu. Kamsa had taken birth as Kalnemi, and now he was obliged to kill his own sons. This was a mystery. Okay. To kill his own sons, Kalnemi. As soon as the sons of Devaki were killed, they would return to their original place. The devotees wanted to see this also. Generally speaking, no one kills his own nephews, but Kamsa was so cruel that he did so without hesitation. Ananta Sankarshana belongs to the second Chaturviha or quadruple expansion. This is the opinion of experienced commentators. Bhagavan api vishvatma viditva kamsajam bhayam yadunam nij nathanam yogamayam samadhishat. Bhagavan api vishvatma. To protect the Yadus, the personal devotees from Kamsa's attack, the personality of Godhead, Vishvatma, the super soul of everyone, ordered Yogamayas as follows. This is the last verse for today. The word Bhagwan api Vishvatma, Viditva Kamsajam Bhayam, are commented upon by Srila Sanatana Goswami. Bhagwan Swayam is Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇastu Bhagwan Swayam. First Canto, 3rd chapter, 28th verse. This is the Paribhasha Sutra of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Kṛṣṇastu Bhagwan Swayam. He is Vishvatma, the original super soul of everyone. Because his plenary portion expands as the super soul of all living entities. He is the original source of all expansions, the personality of Godhead. There are hundreds and thousands of plenary expansions of Vishnu, such as Sankarsana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Vasudha. But here in this material world, the Vishvatma, the super soul for all living entities, is Śrīrodakṣayi Vishnu. Super soul is not Śrīrodakṣayi Vishnu. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 1861, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hide Deshe Arjuna Tishtati. The Supreme Lord is situated in the heart of all living entities of Arjuna. Kṛṣṇa is actually Vishvatma by his plenary expansion or Vishnu Tattva. Yet because of his affection for his devotee, he acts as super soul to give them the direction. Sarvasya chaham hridaya sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam. Bhagavad Gita 15:15. The affairs of the super soul pertains to Śrīrodakṣayi Vishnu. But Kṛṣṇa took compassion on Devaki, his devotee, because he understood her fear of Kamsa's persecution. A pure devotee is always fearful of material existence. No one can know what will happen next. For one may have to change his body at any moment. Tatha dehantar prapti. Bhagavad Gita 2:13. Knowing this fact, a pure devotee acts in such a way that he will not have his life spoiled by being obliged to accept another body and undergo the tribulations of material existence. This is Bhayam or fear. Bhayam Dvitiya Bhivineshvasta. 11th Canto, 2nd chapter and 37th verse. This fear is due to material existence. Properly speaking, everyone should always be alert and fearful of material existence. But although everyone is prone to be affected by the ignorance of material existence, and Supreme Personality of Godhead Kṛṣṇa is always alert to the protection of his devotees. Kṛṣṇa is so kind and affectionate towards his devotees that he helps them by giving them the intelligence by which to exist in this material world without forgetting him. Even for a moment, the Lord says, Teshama evanukampartham aham ajnanajam tama nashyami atma bhavasto jnanadipena bhashvata. To show them the special mercy I dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. The word yoga means link. Any system of yoga is to attempt to reconnect our broken relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are different types of yoga, of which Bhakti Yoga is the best. In other yoga systems, one may undergo various processes before attaining perfection. But Bhakti Yoga is direct. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 6.47, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam samyukta tamomata. Of all the yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself. 4 things. and remembers transcendental loving service to me, he is most intimately united with me in yoga, and he is the highest of all. That is my opinion. This is Krishna's opinion. This is the highest opinion. For the bhakti yogi, a human body is guaranteed in his next existence. As stated by Lord Krishna, Suchinam Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Study Yoga Bhrashta Vijayate. Yog Maya is the spiritual potency of the Lord. Out of affection for his devotees, the Lord always stays in spiritual touch with them. Although otherwise his Maya potency is so strong that she bewilders even exalted demigod like Brahma. Therefore, the Lord's potency is called Yog Maya. Since the Lord is Vishwatma, he immediately ordered Yog Maya to give protection to Devaki. Hare Krishna. So I'll stop here. It is time. It is 9 o'clock. A little more than 9. Okay. So we see how the advent of Lord Krishna is to take place. Any question or any discussion? What we read and studied today? Yes, Sonika?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in first chapter, in 65th, 66th sloka, in purport, it was told by Srila Prabhupada that Narad Muni suggested Kṛṣṇa to kill to kill the sixth child. So Prabhuji, whoever is suggesting for any type of kill, he is also sinful.
But the Prabhupada gives the purport. Read the complete purport. Prabhupada mentions why he does so. Prabhupada mentions because his sinful activities will increase and he will be killed soon. And Krishna will appear soon. So for facilitating Krishna's appearance, earlier he did that. That is for a higher purpose. One can give up the lower principle. For a higher cause, one can give up the lower principle. That is there. But that we should not do whimsically or independently. We mentioned that is what diplomacy is. Like Vasudeva also deployed diplomacy. What he said that I will give you all my newborn babies. What was the diplomacy? He thought that maybe Kamsa may not even live when my child will be born. He will be dead, so my children will be saved. Okay, that was the purpose of Narad Muni. Narad Muni is the eternal associate. Okay, any other question or any other doubt or discussion? Please read these verses. Prepare your heart for upcoming Janmāṣṭamī. If we can fill the heart with Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and there can be even slight remembrance, then we have celebrated Janmāṣṭamī. Otherwise, it is only ritual. There is nothing spiritual. So at least this year, let us try to have a spiritual Janmāṣṭamī. Hare Krishna, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai.